Workout number 3 is going to play through major arpeggios. We're going to stick with the same sounds, and we're going to play them in the same order. So we're going to play through major and augmented arpeggios. We're going to take those down the neck in major thirds, and then we're going to shift over to minor and diminished arpeggios, where we'll go back down the neck once again in minor thirds. Now, the stretches in some of these arpeggios are a little intense. So being high up on the neck is going to give you the best advantage possible to actually be able to get into playing the arpeggio and not get held back by just dealing with some of the stretches inside of them. So let's take a look at them. So in the 17th position, once again, remember, position is always defined by where the first finger anchors itself. So my first finger is anchored on the 17th position even when I'm playing these root position arpeggios. And this one goes like this. So what I have happening here is once again making that emphasis on the root. So the sequence I'm playing starts on the root, ends on the root. This one's real simple. It starts at the high note, plays down, and comes back up. So I play 1, 5, 3, down to the 1 that's at the bottom, and come right back up. 3, 5, 1. There is a roll here. There'll be a roll in a couple of them. So remember, we don't want this. Not looking for that. We're looking for clear separation to stay with the whole concept of an arpeggio. That's the major shape. From there, we'll move down a major third to B flat major. And then we'll take it down another major third and we'll play F sharp major. And then we will end it with the same chord we started with, which is D major. Now down here, that stretch is going to be a little intense for some people. The best thing I can suggest to you is keep an eye on your fret hand thumb. If you're a thumb player that, you're a player that likes to keep his thumb over the neck like this, it's going to give you some trouble trying to play this stretch. Try to take your thumb, lower it to about the midpoint of the neck, and face out so your thumb is angling like this. So if you were to take your thumb off the neck, it would come out like that. So it's almost like I call it a hitchhiker position. And that's how you'll be able to best deal with that stretch. If you need to cut out that arpeggio in the beginning, that's fine. Even if you need to cut out F sharp major and you just play D and B flat and then let me play those two, jump in when you can. Just make sure that you're getting some time in on the ones on the top, because I'm confident that everybody will do well with D and B flat major. Okay, so that'll be major. Then we'll shift into augmented. Now in workouts number 1 and 2, we ended up seeing the same augmented chord shapes because of just the way the keys fell. Now in this case, while we're going to play the same shape, it's not going to be in the same position. So it will not be in the 17th position. It'll actually be in the 18th position. Here's why. Remember, this arpeggio has its 5th right there. The augmented chord formula calls for a sharp 5. All the rest of the notes in this arpeggio are the same. So that takes the augmented arpeggio shape we've been playing and just shifts it up a half step compared to what it's been in workout number 1 and 2. But from there, you'll still travel in major thirds. Now, if that's going to become a little confusing for you, and it might, here's a trick. To make the movement from D augmented, for instance, and go into B flat augmented, remember, this sharp 5 is actually the root of your next chord. Now, B flat sharp 5, which is F sharp, is the root of your next chord, and so on. Augmented is a symmetrical concept. Each one of the notes is a chord tone. You can use that trick in workouts number 1 and 2. Every note is the root, so every note is in each one of the arpeggios. It's very cool. From there, we're going to shift over into the set of minor arpeggios. You're going to come back to that stretch. It's a perfect 4th on the high E string. And the only difference between this and the major arpeggio is the flat 3rd, which is on the 2nd string. You'll make that movement here in D minor, and you'll bring it down to B minor. Remember, we're going down in minor thirds. And from there, you'll play A flat minor, and then to F minor. Now, we're a little higher on the neck with that perfect 4th stretch that we first saw back in D major. So it should be a little easier. Maybe you can get onto those 4 arpeggios much quicker than you can the major. But eventually, you'll get them all with, putting the time in. If you're looking for a visual cue or a trick to help you out with that traveling, when you're playing D minor, see where my 3rd finger is on the 19th fret? Right under that on the high E string is the root of your next arpeggio. So as I play this, I'm visualizing that. I see that note that I need to get to right there. So after I play the sequence, just that little visual cue helps me make that minor 3rd jump. It's the same exact thing I do for the diminished, which is very similar arpeggio. All we have to do is flat the 5. So actually we make that stretch even longer. We're making that stretch 3 whole steps, a tritone. And once again, wherever my 3rd finger falls, I use that as a visual cue on the high E string to get to that next arpeggio. So I go from D diminished to B diminished, down to A flat diminished, and end it off with F diminished. So that's workout number 3, where we work through a series of root position arpeggios. We're going to start out at the same tempos we did in workout numbers 1 and 2, 40 beats per minute, then move on to 70 beats per minute and 100 beats per minute. All rules apply. Learn the workout really well at 40 beats per minute. And when you're doing that, be careful with those stretches that I pointed out. Approach them slowly, approach them carefully. When you're ready, you'll be able to play all the arpeggios that I am. And if you could jump right in, that's great too. Take that, work incrementally up to 70 beats per minute, and then get up to 100. We're going to drill for 3 minutes, and we're going to have a great time. By the time we're done with this level, you're going to have a solid understanding as to how to play arpeggios on the top 3 strings, which is really where you're going to play them a lot. And also, your ear is going to grab onto all of these sounds. All good stuff. All right, I'll see you over at 40 beats per minute, and we'll get to work.